Hey, folks,
Okay.
I'm the Amazing Vito, and you're watching the Amazing Vito show. Incredible. Anyways, I'm here again with boxing historian and also comedian, Mr. Lou Eisen, who's been in the boxing community for, I forgot to ask you how long, Lou?
Probably since I was about 8 or 9, so about over 50 years.
Over 50 years. And
Yeah.
you were friends with some of the biggest.
Muhammad Ali, Angelo Dundee, George Foreman,
Yeah, but you
Kenny
would, but
Norton.
but you would watch tapes with Dundee. That was the
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing you said, and I didn't. Last time when you said it, you said you knew how to speak Yiddish.
Yeah, I can I
What,
can understand more than I can speak. I haven't had to speak it in a long while.
what's Yiddish? Jewish?
Yeah, Yiddish is a combination of old European languages. So it's a combination of German, old German, um, some Russian, Polish. It's a polyglot of a lot of different languages. It's an ancient language. So there are a lot of words
Like
that are
why?
used.
Just real quick, like why is that? Like why is it so?
It's an old language that Jews would speak to each other, and it's still alive. And so when you would have, let's say, in New York in the 40s and 30s, you would have these. Uh, Most of the boxing trainers were Jewish, so if they wanted to keep something a secret, they would speak to each other in Yiddish. So
Yeah,
people that
that's
weren't
actually.
Jewish couldn't understand what they were saying. Saying and Angelo picked it up. Um, he said the same way some of them could speak Italian because they knew so many Italians. They could pick it up. And my grandfather would speak Yiddish all the time to his friends, and I would pick it up. I knew he would be talking about me when he'd reach over and smack me in the head. He would say something, I go, yeah, this smack. It's like,
Right.
okay, he's talking about me. But yeah, so it's just one of those things, that you just
That's
listen to
really
growing
cool.
up.
That's really cool. I like that. I remember
Oh,
school pig Latin is where I didn't even understand pig Latin, but they would have. Lou's also been in movies. He was in
Cinderella
Cinderella
Man.
Man, several other movies, and he's also in the boxing committee. Uh,
Selection committee for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Yes.
that's right. And today we're going to be watching the famous first fight of Sonny Liston versus back then known as Cassius Clay.
And what's ironic about this is the chapter I'm editing now in my book.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
and I was saying to a friend of mine, another writer last night, I said, I did one of those big mistakes where I'm going over the chapter again. I go, oh, I should mention this, this, this. I realizing I mentioned it when I wrote it. So then I read the whole chapter and go, that's great. I mentioned this point 3 different times. That's kind of stupid. Now I got to edit them out and fix it all back together. But the important thing about this fight was that you have to understand the time, the era. It was 1964. It was just after President Kennedy was killed. The Vietnam War was moving from the front burner to the back burner in the American consciousness. And you had the youth movement. You also had the civil rights movement, and the youth movement was basically college students. And then you had the anti-Vietnam War movement, and all three coalesced together to sort of make a paradigm shift in the states, where the old guard, the pre-World War II people, were starting to lose control of their country. And Ali was the first athlete to have a foot in all three movements. He was pro civil rights, obviously, anti Vietnam War, and he was part of the youth movement. And when he fought Liston, Liston was a guy who was a mob fighter. Liston Liston was the 25th of 26 children born to a guy named Tobe, Tobe Liston in Arkansas. His mother Helen left before he turned 7.
Wait a
And
minute.
when he
He had 24. Liston had 24 uh, siblings.
25 siblings, yeah.
25 siblings from the
And they
same.
all lived, yeah, same father, and they all lived in a one-room shack a hovel with a dirt floor. So no beds, nothing like that, just sleep on the floor.
Wait,
And he's
so that's sad enough, but
he's the only fighter I know that didn't know when he was born, and no one knows when he died. They know the year he died, but they don't know exactly what day it was.
do you know what it has on his tombstone?
A man.
A man.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I
Yeah.
mean, a
When,
man.
when, when he was about 10, the family mule died. Jerry Eisenberg of the Newark Star Ledger told me this. And his father took the reins from the mule, hooked it up to Liston, and said, "You the mule now." And every day his father would whip him with his belt and take out these huge chunks of skin from his back. And one day when his father was just too tired, he said, "Are you all right, Daddy? You didn't beat me today." So he was illiterate his whole life, couldn't read, couldn't write. And so by the time Liston got to be 16, 17, maybe even younger, he thought, well, the only thing better than the job I have now with my father is death. So he said, I got to get out of here. So he would pick chestnuts on the side of the road or oranges, sell them. And over time, he had enough money for a one-way ticket to St. Louis, where his mother was. And he gets to see his mother, and he knocks on the door, and she's like, oh, but she couldn't care less that he was there. So he had to find a living, and he started making these robberies of gas stations and grocery stores. But the thing was, he only had one pair of pants and one yellow shirt, so it was easy to pick him out. And he goes to prison, and in prison he's befriended by the priests, and he's taught how to box. But um, there's a lot of mystery about that, because Angelo Dundee's brother Chris, the promoter, had a poster from 1933 that said "Sailor Boy Sonny Liston fighting." So if
Sailor Boy.
Liston, yeah, that was his nickname then. So if Liston was said he was born in 1932, and most people don't believe that. Although I think in the last 6 months, someone said that they found unequivocally information to say that he was born then. But he fought Ali in 64, so he said he was just 32.
So does
Most
that
people thought he was in his 40s.
so does that like it's pretty harsh. Like they have that saying of comics where you're either loved too much or you're hated, right? There's
Yes,
that thing.
most comedy comes out of displaced anger.
So with Liston though, um, it just seemed like he had a like
Brutal life.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of Dante's Nine Rings of Hell. He just, you know, his own family didn't care about him. His parents didn't care about him. And, when he gets to prison, um, he he finds priests there that like him. The thing about prison is he was the most feared man there, not just by other inmates, but by the people that work there, the guards. Liston was a genuine tough guy. He was so big. He was 6'1", but he was wide. And Angelo called him Coke machine with arms. And when somebody would say, you say you're 32, but most people think you're closer to 40. And one guy who asked him that, one dumb reporter, shit himself because Liston got up out of his seat, walked towards him, and said, "Are you calling my mother a liar?" And he was a terrifying man. He worked for the mob. He broke heads. He killed people, and this was a tough guy. So while he was in prison, one of the priests called up Rocky Marciano's people and said, "We got a guy here who can fight. Can we get a fight with Rocky for the title?" And they laughed. They said, "Well, he's got to go through the amateurs and he's got to do this." And so some of the priests, along with the mob, helped him get early release from Jefferson City Prison in St. Louis. And he went under the auspices of the mob, and he entered the AAU amateur title championships. He fought amateur for a year. In 51, 52, he won the heavyweight amateur, and then he turned pro. And he was in and out of prisons until he beat Floyd Patterson for the title. But all that time, all that money was going to the mob, and he was a drunk. So when he wasn't fighting, he was drunk. And in Philadelphia once, it took 16 officers with billy clubs to take him down.
Jesus.
And the witnesses said there were 10 on him, and he was laughing like he was easily beating them. And so when they went to court that night, he was arraigned, let him out on his own recognizance, and the police chief just said, "Listen, Sonny, it's 12 p.m. now. You're out of town in 1 hour. We're just going to come by and shoot you in the head. It's enough. You're not wanted here." And so he left there, went to Chicago briefly, and then finally moved to Denver. And he said, "I'd rather be a tree post in Denver than the mayor of Philadelphia or the mayor of St. Louis." And Denver, he moved into an all-white neighborhood, and he would get drunk still, and cops went out of their way to antagonize him. He might make a left turn, but it might say you only can make it between 4 and 6, and he would make it at 9. He couldn't read, so he didn't know. And when he was getting ready to fight Ali or Clay would go up to his house and put a bear trap in front of it and scream at him and yell at him. And
So yeah, okay, like so the fight we're about to see, what was the mindset of Liston and what was the mindset of Ali?
well, Liston didn't train for the fight. He thought Ali was a joke. Ali wasn't considered a legitimate contender then. He was considered a flake, a joke, a mild amusement. No one thought he could beat Liston. I mean, Ali, sorry, go ahead.
No, because of his my understanding, Ali saw Gorgeous George, and he said,
right,
Gorgeous
but that
George.
wasn't mine. But yeah, that's where Ali got his thing. I'm the greatest, because when he was on a talk show in Kentucky, in Louisville, Gorgeous George was screaming, "And I'm going to beat this guy, and if I don't win, I'm going to leave the United States, and he can shave my head." And the fans were yelling at him in the studio, the show, little TV studio. And Clay said, "Aren't you afraid that they're going to attack you at the arena? Aren't you afraid that they hate you?" And he said, "Listen, the arena holds 16,000. All of them hate me, but I get 50% of each ticket." And Ali thought, that's a good idea. That makes sense, because as Ali once said, 100% of the people would come to see me, but 99% coming to see me get beat. But I'm not worried because I got these.
Yeah.
And so he learned that from him. Ali was a fresh-faced kid, won the Olympic light heavyweight title. He was like, he appeared out of nowhere, like just under the horizon, like the morning sun. Just he was fighting everyone. He was moving up the heavyweight ladder. But then he fought Henry Cooper. Now, if he beats Cooper, that's it. He gets the shot at Liston, because no one wanted to fight Liston. Henry Cooper said, "I don't even want to meet Liston socially for tea."
Right.
Well,
that's the same. It's the same style of and we're going to play the fight in just a second. It's the same style as what I guess Sonny Liston would be, what a young Mike Tyson was, where people were legitimately terrified of him.
But Tyson was much more skilled. And there's several things about Liston here. Ali knew that he was older than dirt. He knew that Liston hadn't trained. But the most important thing was Liston had only had 3 fights previous 3 years. Each fight lasted 1 round. That was it. He beat Albert Westphal in under 2 minutes. Beat Patterson in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. A year later in the rematch, beat him in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And Dundee noticed that I used to scout fighters for Angelo at times, opponents of his fighters. You're looking for repeating patterns. Liston was the same. Shuffle step, 2 steps forward, double jab, right hand. He never varied from that. And a lot of times when Liston threw his left jab, his head would be out over his front foot, which meant he was off balance. He'd even bring his right foot off the canvas. And that's why every time he'd throw the jab, Ali would hit him with the right hand. So Liston would throw the jab, get caught, throw the jab, get caught. And after a while, you stop throwing that jab because it starts to hurt getting caught like that. So Ali comes into the fight. No one no one gave him a chance because when he fought Cooper in the 4th round, Cooper dropped him with the left hook. And as Angelo said, Ali was out. When they brought him back to the corner, they put ice on his testicles, no reaction. They broke the cap of smelling salts. You break it down by the knees because it's very powerful, no reaction. On the way to the ring before the fight, Muhammad said, Ange, there's a little cut here on the side of the glove, a teeny infinitesimal cut. We should tell the ref. And Ange should just forget about it. And so when that happened, they showed it to the ref. Angelo got everyone, Chicky Ferreira and Bundini Brown, to gather around, put his fingertips in, index fingers, and just widen the rip. So now it's worse. So now they go look for another glove. After that, they can't find one. He just tapes it. So when I met Henry Cooper, I said, I've read for years that they had to stop the fight for 2 hours to look for another glove, or an hour. And Cooper said to me, son, the cut in the glove gave him an extra 20 seconds. That was all.
Yeah.
Instead of a minute rest, he had a minute and 20 seconds. And he said that's all he needed. Next round, he comes out and he hits Cooper. And they said Cooper had skin as brittle as a 50-year-old coat of paint, gushing blood. And then they stopped the fight. And Cooper apologized to Ali. He said, I'm so sorry. I wanted to give you more of a fight. And they became extremely close friends. That was his best friend in boxing. But he got the Liston fight because of that. And Ali is talking it up. And when Ali called him the big ugly bear. So Ali followed him to his house in Denver. He followed him to training camp. He'd bring a bear trap. He'd scream at him. Once in Vegas,
he'd bring a bear trap.
Yeah, because he's bear hunting. He had a jacket that said bear hunting.
He's a comedian.
Well, it's more than that. Ali had good reasoning. Ali knew that Liston was a genuine tough guy. You could pull a gun on him. He's not going to flinch. You're not going to scare him. So he said, in prison, there's only one thing tough guys are afraid of: crazy people. And as you know, you can't predict a crazy person.
Yeah.
You go back through history, Al Capone was stabbed viciously by someone who's severely mentally ill in prison. Mickey Cohen, the LA mob boss, got brain damage from a guy who was schizophrenic in prison, hit him with a metal pipe. So you can go all throughout prison finding these well-known crime figures who were attacked by guys who were just nuts. So he thought the only thing that would scare Liston would be someone you can't predict. And so in Vegas, he said, listen, he lost to craps. You can't even spell craps. Spell it for me. And Liston's getting agitated now. And he said, why are you playing craps? You can't count. You can't. How do you count, Sonny? Count to 5 for me. Here's $100. I'll start you off. 1, 2, 3. Finish the count. Jeez. And Liston just pulls a gun out and fires it at Ali. And the bullet is like a couple inches above his head, but it lodges in the wall. And when I spoke to Ali, I said, were you scared of him? And he said, you know what? You're dumber than you look. I guess Ali would usually say, you're not as dumb as you look. And I said, Muhammad, I'm way dumber than I look. So you're correct. But he said, I was scared shitless. He shot a real gun.
He pulled out a gun?
And shot. And he said, and the bullet only went I could feel it in the top of my hair. I mean, he had the mob behind him. And so
yeah, man, but that's a guy with a vicious temper. Like
very vicious temper. But boxing is controlled fury. And if you have a temper, which Ali wanted to rile him up, you can't fight correctly.
Right.
You just, all you want to do is kill rather than take your time and set everything up. And so the day of the weigh-in, it's the most chaotic weigh-in in boxing history. Liston's there for his team, and Ali enters a Bodini Brown, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Ah, rumble, young man, rumble. Ah. And Ali said, I'm going to whoop you right now. I don't want to wait for tonight. I'm tired of talking. All you stupid, ignorant reporters that don't give me a chance. I want Liston now. I throws the cane down. I'm going to whoop you right now. Get up off your fat ass. You can't read. You can't write. You're old enough to be my daddy. You're nothing but a bum. Everyone in Patterson was terrified. I'm not afraid of you. I'm bigger than you. I'm quicker than you. I'm smarter than you. You're going to go in 8 rounds. How many fingers am I holding up, Sonny? Count them out loud. And he couldn't. And Liston just went like this, like, you're going to go in 2. And Ali said, 8 rounds for you, Sonny, and no Lena Horne. They would get a Lena Horne lookalike, put her at ringside, and say to Sonny, if you win, you get to be with her. And so Ali was just attacking him. You big ugly bear, you ignorant bastard, you can't spell. Spell your name, Sonny. Get him a pen and paper. He's just attacking him. I'm going to annihilate him. All of you are going to have heart attacks. I'm the greatest thing that ever lived. And then Ali was fined for that. And then Alexander Robbins, the doctor, takes his pulse. And it's like 200 over 100. And he said, what does that mean? And he said, he might just have a heart attack now. He's in mortal fear. He can't fight tonight. Fight will have to be called off. So Ali goes back to his house. An hour later, Ferdy Pacheco's personal doctor takes his pulse, or his not his pulse, but his blood pressure. It's fine. It was all an act. It was all carefully staged. Every bit of it, to unnerve Liston. And then when they get to the center of the ring for the instructions, Angelo said, stand up. Don't slouch. Because he wanted Liston, who was 6'1", to know that Ali was 6'3 3/4. He wasn't a boy now. He was a man, 220 pounds. He filled out. He wasn't fighting a kid. He was fighting a guy that was bigger than him. And he wanted Liston to know it. By the way, Angelo never called him Muhammad or Cassius. He called him the big guy. So whenever he was talking, like the first time I met Angelo in 73 was when he brought world welterweight champ Jose Napoles to fight Canadian champ Clyde Gray. And Napoles won. But after the fight, Angelo said, do you want to meet the big guy? And I said, of course. And that's how we always referred to him, the big guy. And, he said, listen, Muhammad, he's older than dirt. And after the first round, Angelo says, slaps his knee. How about that? You're still here. You're still here. He can't hit you. And Liston's realizing, I got a problem. Because everyone that fought Liston before would just stand there like this. They would just be so afraid and then let themselves get beat up. Ali didn't do that. Clay kept moving around using his feet. And then, he starts talking to Liston, and Liston loads his gloves, which he had done against other fighters with Tiger Bomb, blinds Ali. And then when Ali's eyes finally clear, Ali tees off on him. It starts yelling at him. How dare you do that to me? How do you like it now? And is landing 8, 9 punch combinations. In fact, I think it was the second or third round where Ali staggers Liston, and the whole place, the Miami Beach Convention Center, erupts in bedlam. Liston, who was supposed to win in 1 round, now he's staggered by Clay. They couldn't believe it. And by the way, he'd already converted to Islam. His name is already Ali.
Right.
He'd done that 6 months before, but the promoter of the fight, Bill McDonald, when he found out, said, I'm not going to, you got to renounce your religion. And Ali said, I quit. He was going to go home. Angelo Dundee, thank God, saved everything. And Angelo said, I'll tell you what, wait till you win the title tonight, announce it tomorrow. And that's what happened.
Right. Okay, so without further ado, folks, I'm gonna show a version here where they put color on. So you're gonna see it. It's from 1964, and this version has color. So
Yeah.
let me just on here share this, and hold on here. Let me play. Whoops. Did you see that?
Yes.
Good, because I pressed the wrong.
I can't see the fight. I'm just seeing you right
now. No, because hold on. There we go. Okay, hold on. No, there we go. Okay. All right.
Okay. This is the one I just watched. This is how people saw the fight back then. And they'd go to a Maple Leaf Gardens or some theater, and pay their money and watch it. Ali was 7-1 underdog. That's the best you can get on him.
I had to turn it down on my end. What did you say? He was what? A 7-1?
Underdog. Most people have him 10-1. A lot of people won money on him. They just he wasn't. It wasn't considered within the realm of possibility. Jim Nyland there was the manager of him. He's a mob guy. That's Steve Ellis. He's broadcasting the fight. Very good broadcaster. Clay liked him, and he's sitting beside. And that's how it was. Look at the guy behind him typing. Sat there with your cigarette, typing what was going on. Okay. Yes, that's the great Joe Louis with him. Probably the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. And a friend of Sonny Liston's.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay, because I could barely hear you, Lou.
Okay. Well, I'm my my thing up here for sound is all the way up. Let me check it. Oh, hang on a second. I'll make it even louder. Okay. Okay, how's that?
I don't know. I hopefully the people could hear you.
Right.
We'll know until the end. So here he comes out.
Right. That's Sonny Liston. Now, you have to notice something here. Liston would take 10, 15 terry cloth towels, put them in his robe to make him appear that much bigger.
Wasn't he known as they would purposely make him look like a bear?
Not like a bear, but he had that hood and just make him look like what he was, a tough guy, a thug. You know, that stare of his, that baleful stare, guys would just almost have a stroke. He was more wide than tall. He was 6'1", but his shoulders were huge. He had to have specially made gloves. His fists were the size of canned hams. And he has the second largest fist in boxing history behind Primo Carnera. So those are his trainers, Sam Solomon, Joe Polino.
Who had bigger hands than him?
Primo Carnera.
Oh yeah.
That's Angelo there, Angelo Dundee. And standing in the center right there is Bundini Brown. Liston also had Milt Bailey, who I got a chance to speak with in his corner. And he said, boy, Muhammad knew how to antagonize Sonny. Not many people could. But when it came to antagonizing a person, no one could do it to Sonny like Muhammad. And the thing was, when Sonny died, that's Louis Rodriguez. That's one of Angelo's fighters. That's the guy who Muhammad patterned himself after. Ali was fighting like Rodriguez and Sugar Ray Robinson. So these are all the boring pre-fight introductions. That's another Angelo fighter, the light heavyweight world champion, Willie Pastrano. Sweet Dick Willie. That's what Muhammad's saying to him now. Sweet Dick Willie. Angelo started to train him when he was 16. Five-time middleweight champion. The immortal Sugar Ray Robinson, who was in Ali's corner the whole time. See him, he's bowing, he's joking with him. Because even Ray Robinson knew after the fight when Ali's saying, "Wasn't I good? Wasn't I pretty? Didn't I whoop him good? Didn't I look gorgeous?" And Ray Robinson saying, "You can't talk like that." Joe Louis. He was the greatest of all heavyweight champions. He annihilated people. No one could hit like him. He was absolutely perfect because of his trainer, Jack Blackburn. He did not make mistakes in the ring.
Why in the heck did he fight? Like, I understand. Like, he fought at such a. He was really old. Look at the weight Marciano put on. How long was he retired there for?
At that point, he'd been retired 9 years.
Oh, all right. Well,
but you know, Marciano wasn't like any other heavyweight. Marciano trained for 6 months. Most fighters train for 2, 3. Marciano would train 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I'll show you a video.
Guys would run 10 miles or 20 miles. He'd run 40 or 50 miles a day. And Marciano was only 5'10 and a half, you know, weighed 186 pounds. Basically a light heavyweight. When Liston beat Patterson, Liston's 6'1", 230. Patterson, you know, is 5'11", 182. I mean, there's a 48-pound weight difference there.
Look at all the guys with cigarettes.
Yep.
Isn't it like the old comedy clubs? Just
yeah.
Everybody, look, Buddy over there with a cigarette.
Yeah. Kentucky, the light heavyweight gold medalist from the 1960 Olympics. So that's Angelo facing us. Back of his head is Bundini. And the guy we can see is Luis Seria from Cuba, who was his masseuse. And you notice Liston's got to look up when they go to the center of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He never done that before, again, except against Nino Valdez. The guy in the tie to his left, our right, is Jack Nyland, who was his mob controller. One of them, anyways. See,
look at this. Look at the look.
Yeah, Ali's bigger than him now.
Look at that look, though.
Yeah, the baleful stare. And Ali's just saying, not going to work. Now you got to fight me.
Look at the size comparison, though.
Yeah. Liston couldn't believe. And Liston got angry after the first couple rounds at his own corner. He said, you told me this guy couldn't hit. You said he was a fag. This guy's beating the crap out. Yeah, he said this guy's beating the crap out of me.
He said this guy's beating the crap. He's some fag beating the crap out of me.
Yeah, at his own corner. He said, you told me this guy couldn't fight. He's beating the crap out of me. Ali just does it all with his legs.
Yeah, look at his legs.
That's what he lost when they took his title from him. Liston is lunging. He thinks it's going to be easy, another first-round knockout. If only this guy would just stand still, but he can't hit him. Ali keeps moving and moving and moving. You know, and his corner's yelling out, stick him, yard stick him. You know, use that jab, and Angelo, jab, 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 jab.
But right away with the footwork of Liston, if you look at his feet, he looks like he's flat-footed.
He is the whole time. He thinks I'm just going to hit him once and then it's over.
Like he's not on his balls of his feet like Ali or prize fighters of today, you know?
Right. He thinks I'm going to land one good punch. Liston broke people's jaws with a jab. Liston thinks I'm going to hit him one good shot and he's going to go. That's all I need to do. This kid's a joke. Henry Cooper knocked him down. I'm going to end his life. And he was
like Ali is much taller, thinner, but
Taller man.
Liston is a coke machine with arms. He
Yeah, absolutely.
he's a
They
beast
didn't
of a
realize, but
man.
Ali's got a huge back too, and Ali keeps moving and dancing. And they knew all along that the guy to beat Liston would have to be someone who's mobile, someone who's quick. And Ali's feet, see, Liston's just winging his punches now. Ali sees them. He's not. And the funny thing is, Liston had a prohibitive reach advantage over Ali. Ali had a 76-inch reach. Liston had 84. That was the longest of anyone. But it made no difference because Ali just kept moving. And every time Ali moves, Liston's got to reset. He's got to reset. He's got to reset. And he's throwing his punches. He's just not landing. He can't get Ali. He can't cut the ring off on him. Ali's too quick.
In Liston's head, what's going through his head right now? Is he thinking this is going to be a long night?
He's thinking this isn't going the way I want it to go. He said, I have to catch this kid.
Look at this.
Soon. Yeah. They couldn't believe it. People
He's
couldn't
not scared.
believe
Ali's not scared.
Not at all. And then he's hurting him. And Liston can't believe this. Liston's starting to think, what's going on here? This kid was supposed to fall with the first good punch. And he's not. And he's talking to me. He's backing it up.
Now, with mob control, don't you think Liston would have said to the mob guys, I want you to go to, Ali's corner there, and you tell him he better drop.
Right. And they did try that, but it didn't work because Ali had the Nation of Islam with them, and they had 75,000 people there, not there, that were licensed to carry weapons. And so there were enough fruit of Islam.
So
he the ring, who so just said to them,
he had backup.
Said to the mob, you make another step, we'll kill you in front of all these people. We don't care. It's not going to go down the way you want it to go down.
Okay, so back then, Lou, they didn't
have. And Malcolm X was sitting at ringside.
But back then, the guys did not have a mouthpiece.
They did. He's got a mouthpiece.
Oh, they must have taken it out for him to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Look, what's he doing?
He's making faces to people. He's joking. This is easy work. I want a real fighter. This guy's a bum. Get me someone who can really fight. The first guy to wear a mouthpiece was Ted Kid Lewis in the 1920s. British fighter who was Jewish.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's what I thought. Guys always wore.
And then some fights, his opponent would say, Ted better take the mouthpiece out. And they said, but it's legal now. Well, I won't fight him unless he does. But now it's all. The mouthpiece, it doesn't protect your teeth. It protects you from biting through your tongue. But Ali is so quick with those jabs. And after the first round, Angelo slapping his knees saying, you're still here. How about that? You're still here. Look at this.
He's building him his confidence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's a time, I think, in this round, he hits him with the right hand and the place erupts because he staggers him. See, putting his head on Liston's head like that? He thought Ali was just going to stand there and take a beating. And he's moving, but he's not running full speed. He's still there. And Ali took some good shots there. And he's still there. Jab. Liston, has no answer for Ali's jab. Liston had never been cut in a ring. And by the end of this round and the next round, he's got a huge cut under his left eye. Ali's busting him up. That was thought never to happen. Jerry Eisenberg told me back then, he wrote a column that said, beating Liston is going to involve the American Sixth Army shelling him for 7 days. And even that may not work.
Look at everybody. Like, you could tell everybody knows something's different by just the fans watching. They know something's different here. Like, this isn't the Sonny Liston of, this is not Sonny that we know. This is
right, because the previous 3 fights had only gone 1 round against guys that were terrified.
Yeah, like, look at these guys watching this. They're just
They're stunned.
Yeah.
Jab, jab. Even if he misses the jab, Liston, he's still keeping Liston off him. But he's not missing the jab. He keeps hitting him with every single shot. Ali's giving him all those head feints, those angles. And Ali was great at throwing a counter right hand over a jab. And you know, he's able to grab him physically. He's able to push him back. You know, Liston can't hit him. He simply can't land a decent punch.
Yeah.
And he's getting more frustrated, so he's starting to wing it more.
Well, I'm just looking at his feet. They're as flat as pancakes.
Yeah. All these guys there with dark sunglasses are all mob guys. There's Liston is saying, I thought he was easy. I thought you said I would hit him and he would go down. I thought he was easy. Don't worry, you'll get him. That's what they're telling him. You'll catch him. He's a young kid. He's fighting on adrenaline. He'll make a mistake. People would say, Ali only pulls his head back. He doesn't. If you're a real fighter, you'll take the punch and you'll do this and that. And Angelo said, listen, his style is only designed to work for him. And that's all it did. Not designed to work for every other fighter. And now Ali's just see right hand, or left jab, excuse me. Jab. Hit him with the counter right. Now here we go. There he goes, staggers him. People can't believe it. See, they're all standing up now. Can't believe it. Ali's talking to him. Nope, missed. And Ali's saying, staggered him again. They can't believe it. And Ali's talking to him. Here comes the left hand. Come on, Sonny. Come on. Let's see what you got. Nothing. You can't touch me. Nothing. And once again, nothing.
Look how angry Sonny is.
Oh yeah, just on top of the head.
He's just furious.
And Ali's just stoking that fire. Angrier he gets, the more inaccurate Sonny will be. Ali's talking to him. Here comes 3 left hands. Here comes a right hand. I'm telling you what's coming, and you still can't stop him, you big ugly bear. You dumb, ignorant bastard. Come on, let's see what you got. It's one thing to be beaten. It's another thing to be humiliated. Liston's left eye is closing now. So he's going to have a lot more trouble picking up the jab.
And I think that was the point. Ali was told to close one of those eyes of his.
Yeah. Use that jab, cut him. Liston's got to hold him to hit him. He's having trouble just hitting him without holding him. Liston, the tragedy of Liston was he was probably the best heavyweight in the world from 56 on. He just didn't get a title shot till 62 because Castamatto, who was Floyd Patterson's manager, was afraid of him. He was afraid that he would kill his fighter, and he was right. Liston cleaned out the heavyweight. It's like 4 in a row he missed. Cleaned out the heavyweight division before he fought for the title.
He's using so much energy and just not getting any benefit from,
No, and that fatigues the fighter.
If you use your energy and you're hitting the guy, yes. But if you're using your energy and missing, you're in trouble.
It fatigues you. It fatigues your muscles.
And it was psychologically. Boxing's very psychological. So if you're throwing a punch and he's constantly, you're missing.
He can't get out of the way of the jab. If you're missing all the time, it starts to wear on you. Okay, and you're doing the same thing over and missing. What can you do?
In his eye is, he got it.
Yeah, his left eye's bleeding underneath it. Never happened before. Ali opened the mouse, busted him up. You know, you're bleeding, Sonny. How do you like that? And Liston's, you know, he's like you're saying, mentally he's just depressed now. He's like, I don't know what to do. I mean, what do I do? And so
What's
they're all standing around him. There's all these
Thunder
guys.
Thunderbird Hotel? Oh,
Yeah,
that's the
that's where
the
he,
Las Vegas hotel.
yeah, that's where he trained. So what they're doing now, all those guys around Liston, they're putting Tiger Bomb on his gloves.
Oh, this is the Tiger Bomb round?
Yeah, where he blinds Clay with the Tiger Bomb.
Okay, for those that don't know, Sonny Liston's Corner just put glazed over some Tiger Bomb on his gloves. So
Right.
if you get that crop in your eyes, and that's the goal here, is he's trying to get
Yeah,
it into Ali's eyes.
to burn him.
Now
Now the interesting
I'm not
sorry,
telling anybody to do this, but if you have you ever gotten that massage stuff or Tiger Bomb or anything, put that on yourself. If you've ever made the mistake of just doing that to your eye, that is
you'd have to go to the hospital.
it's incredibly painful.
In fact, after the fight, when I asked Angelo about it, Angelo said, "No, they just put some stuff on his shoulders, and you know, when they're clinching, my guy's sweating profusely. It was nothing illegal." And I said years later to his son Jimmy, "It was illegal," but he said, "Yes, but my father had a healthy fear of the mafia, and you don't call out the mafia on national television.
Right,
It's
right.
not good for your health." But Ali did after the fight. Ali said, you know, he's got dirty men there. These are gangsters, and they tried to blind me because Ali knew he had the fruit of Islam behind him.
So the Nation of Islam was that powerful?
It was a minority sect. They still had between 65 and 75,000 members.
Look at
Ali
that.
left. Ali left them after Elijah Muhammad died because Ali did not like, nor did he agree with the bigoted, racist Louis Farrakhan. Ali was a Sufi Muslim. He was extremely moderate. He had two grandchildren that were Jewish, and he spoke at their bar mitzvahs. Ali liked everyone. He said, I said things when I was in my 20s that I regret, but I was young and I was stupid.
Yeah. Hey man, we've all been there.
Yeah, look at that. Look at those jabs.
But see, you could tell he's taken the sales out of Ali for a little bit here because he's not this. If
Ali's still
I would
dominating him,
say
but Ali,
he won. I would say Liston won this round.
it was close. I mean, Ali still whooped him quite a bit, but Ali's eyes are starting to burn now. And so what Angelo did
Look, they're
was
putting it on his look all over here. Look at him.
he's
Look at
blinking.
him.
Yeah, oh, I've seen this a million times. So Angelo puts the finger in his eye,
Oh,
Ali's eye puts it
jeez.
in his own eye. And so he says to one of the cornermen, go back to the dressing room, get me 100 sponges. Because he can't reuse them. So he's wiping his eye, right? And then he throws it away. Wiping his eye, throws it away. Wiping his eye, throws it away. You know, wiping the eye, flushing it out with water.
God, you
And,
can
and,
blind.
and Ali got up like this. When Ali got up to walk with his hands up, like this, Barney Felix, the referee, said, is that it? You quitting? And he said, no, no, no. And Angelo said, this is, and Muhammad said, cut the gloves off, show the world there's wrongdoing. And Angelo said, you can't do that. You'll never get another shot. This is it.
Is this not the famous line where he asked Angelo, what do I do? And he said, just run, run.
Yeah, run and yardstick him. Yardstick him meant use the left hand, use the jab.
Okay,
And
so
you
Sonny
lift
knows. Sonny knows he's
Sonny
blind
knows
here.
yeah, he knows he's in trouble. And as one writer said, Sonny looked at him like a kid looks at a new red bicycle on Christmas morning. And and this shows you that more than anything, as his official biographer, Thomas Hauser, said to me, you can say whatever you want about his ring skills, but Ali was one tough son of a bitch. And Liston is really hitting him in the flanks, and Ali's taking it. But as he's taking it, and his eyes are watering and he's blinking, the tear ducts are starting to clear his eyes out. And Liston, there's a point where his shoulders will slump. He says, like, well, I couldn't do it. Because this is Liston's best chance. I'm fighting a guy who's blind.
Yeah.
If I don't get him now, I don't get him.
Yeah.
And look what Ali does there with the hand. Ali's using that left hand just to keep the distance. See, little pity pat punches. He would do that later in his career. And while this is going on, Ali told me he was starting to get angry. He didn't think he would, but he's starting to think, I can't believe it. I'm willing to fight this man straight up. I said what I said, and I'm willing to back it up. And now he's cheating. Now he's using Tiger Bomb to try to blind me. That's not a fair fight. That's not boxing. And see, Ali just holds on to him, pushes him back with ease. Liston's missing those shots. Ali's pushing his neck down. I love when he does the little, little pity pat. Like that, little pity pat punches. And doing that to him, just fine. You want to play it that way? I'll do it to you then. See, can't hit him.
Did you hear the announcer? He's making a fool of the champion.
Yeah. Treating him like a sparring partner. Liston comes in head first there. And then landed some good shots there, but Ali took them. Now he's back to just jabbing him. The moment of crisis has passed. Ali's getting angry. Now he has no fear because he now knows if you got to cheat and you still can't whoop me, you're a dead man. And that's all he's thinking. Goes back to the corner.
He's like he's doing. Ali went like this.
The eyes are getting better. And he comes out for the next round, and he is angry. Only seen him angry when he fought Terrell and when he fought Patterson. Terrell wouldn't call him by his name. That's the what's my name fight. And Patterson kept saying, well, I got to bring the title back to the United States. And Ali said, but I'm an American citizen. What do you mean you got to bring it back to the States? Why does my religion count? My religion, Islam's older than your religion, Christianity. I'm not looking for a religious fight. I changed my name legally. I went to a court of law. I converted legally. So, you're just being a bigot and Uncle Tom. Now, this round, he comes out, round 6, and he's angry. He's angry at Liston. And so he's really going to take it to him. Already 4 jabs. Jab to the stomach. Liston still can't hit him. And Ali's not dancing as much as before. He's flat-footed.
Oh.
That was a tremendous right hand. He's flat-footed. He now wants to really give it to him.
Look at him snap his head back.
Yeah, all those jabs. Liston throws a left, and Ali just swats it away. Another left, right, left, right, left.
I mean, the speed of Ali is incredible.
Yeah, it's the fastest heavyweight ever. He's throwing these 7 and 8 punch combination. Liston just threw that jab, and Ali just turned his head slightly to avoid it.
Yeah, dance. Look at that. Those jabs, I mean, they are vicious.
Yeah, they hurt. It's the cumulative effect, getting hit over and over, especially on the cut, on the left eye. Now, but this round's significant too because Liston claimed after he tore his shoulder muscle. He had bursitis in training camp, but he's still using his left hand. He's lifting it up there. If you have a torn shoulder muscle, you can't use it.
What's bursitis?
Bursitis is an inflammation of the muscles of the shoulder, of the bursa muscles. And it's very painful. But in boxing, you fight. Ali fought with a broken jaw years later. So Liston's left hand is fine there. Later on, he claimed, which I never bought. Youth is being served. He got old overnight. Didn't train, only fought one round in his previous 3 fights.
Well, this is the famous poster of Ali standing over Sonny on the.
That's the second fight.
That's the second fight, sir.
Yeah. And that's it. Liston goes back to his corner, spits out the mouthpiece, and he said, "We'll get him next round." And Liston said, "I'm done." He said, "No, you're all right. You're all right. Just one off round. You're fine." Liston said, "I said I'm done. I quit."
Because do you think in his mind he's just thinking, I'm looking like a fool out there?
I'm going to get knocked out, and I don't want to get knocked out. Plus the mob, his purse was $1 million. He got 13 grand. The mob took most of it.
Hey, so when he passed, did he die in poverty?
He didn't have much money. The mob gave him a hot shot, cocaine and heroin. Slipped a Mickey in his drink and shot him up. He'd gone to his former mob handler. Look at Ali dancing. He knows it.
He knows it's over.
Yeah. So what had happened was when he
died. Still dancing.
Yeah, when he died, he wanted to be a Shylock, a loan shark. And they said, "You're just hired muscle." You have to understand something. Even while he was champion, the mafia was still calling him nigger to his face.
Really?
Yeah, that's how demeaning they were to him. So
that's insane.
Yeah. And so he said, "Well, if you don't let me be a loan shark and give me some money to start." They said, "You're just muscle." He said, "Fine, I'm going to go to the newspapers then and tell them everything you did." And of course, he was dead a couple of days later. But we don't know which day he died on, actually. Ali was saddened because Ali had seen him just before and said, "Sonny, it was all talk to promote the fight. I'd love to sit down with you and get to know you." And Sonny agreed, and then he was gone. But Ali's talking to the ringside, to the writers, and he was yelling, "Eat your words, eat your words, eat
that
your
guy
words."
Right there, Lou. The guy, this guy right here. That's
Bundini Brown.
That's who Jamie Foxx played in the movie.
Yeah, Drew Bundini Brown. He was Jewish. He converted.
Yeah, but he was funny. He
didn't know anything about boxing. That's the funny thing. He didn't know how to wrap hands even.
Ali just gave him a job.
Because he'd worked with Sugar Ray Robinson, and he said to Sugar Ray, when he came into camp, Angelo spoke to him, and he said, "Hey, I was the trainer for Sugar Ray Robinson."
All right,
and he said, "Really?" And he said, "That's funny because I'm meeting with Harry Wiley for lunch." And Harry Wiley was the guy that trained Sugar Ray Robinson and also helped train Ali. So Bundini, I asked Angelo, he said he made Muhammad feel good. He was his shaman, his clown. Liston's eyes busted up. He just quit. First champion since Jess Willard in 1919, July 4th, to quit in his corner. Champions supposed to go out on their shield, not quit.
Look at him. Look at the party.
This is the greatest thing to me. I love listening to him talk. I love it. Brother beside him too.
I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, can't nobody be against me. Sonny, I shook up the world. I know God. I know the real God.
Cassius, wait a minute, Cassius. Let me ask you this now. You told me when you visited in Los Angeles you could do it in 8. Well, you thought Sonny and figured Sonny was great. How come you did it in 6 or 7? You did it in 7.
I had him going in 8. I was getting ready to take him in the 8th, as you can see, but the man stopped it just to keep from making me look so great.
I see. Now, give us that poetry on number 7.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him in 7.
You took him in 7.
I am the king of the world.
Hold it.
I'm pretty.
Hold it. You're not that pretty.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
Joe,
I shook up the world.
Wait a minute.
You must listen to me.
Now, listen to me.
I am unbeatable.
All right, hold it. Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you this. Joe, wait, hold it. They're booing the champ, but I don't think so. All right, tell us this. All right, Cash. Thank you. Thank you, Cassius Clay, the heavyweight champion. Let's get our champion, Joe Louis, over here as the camera follows Cassius Clay.
That's his brother right there.
His shoulder went out. Give us the analysis there.
As you know, I think Clay getting all the confidence in the world after in the 6th round. I think he had all the confidence to go ahead and defeat him, like I just said. But the doctor stopped him kind of, although the doctor stopped him kind of.
Eat your words. Eat your words. Eat your words. Eat your words. All of you eat your words. All of you said I wouldn't go more than 1 round. Eat your words. Eat your words. You don't know nothing. None of you boxing writers know anything about boxing. You sit there, you old white man, covered Joe Louis, didn't like me because I talked too much, because I pulled my head back. I wouldn't take a punch. I kept moving around too quickly. You know what? Eat your words. I whooped all of y'all. I backed it up. That's what he would say. It's not bragging. I backed it up.
Yeah, it's not bragging if you back it up.
And it's an important point in world history because, and that's not oversimplifying it, because this is just after JFK died. And so Ali grabs the decade as the new hero. He's now becomes the figure for the anti-Vietnam War protest. He's the head of the youth movement. All college kids love him. That's Angelo, my surrogate father. He's going to be a fighting champion. And he's right, it is the best thing.
Why do you give us that story? This guy gives a lot of zest in boxing, keeps people talking boxing. What do we want? We need people like that in boxing. Some fresh young kid that we need. And this kid's done a lot for boxing. I'm thrilled to be with him. Well, you certainly have done a good job of teaching him, schooling him. Now, do you think that Liston, or will you give Liston a return fight? Well, that's up to Bill Fabsham. I feel there'll be no problem. I feel they'll get together if the money.
No, return fight had already been signed.
He's still making speeches over there.
Look at him.
Yeah, people have to understand that in that era, a black person talking like that in the North would get beaten up. In the southern states, they get lynched. No one would talk like this.
He would apologize. All right, now, Cash, there was no match. I want the world to know I'm so great until Sonny Liston was not even a match. I don't have a mark on my face. In the 5th round, he had an element in his head, he had an element in his glove, and I couldn't do nothing but hold him and dump.
Now, hold it, y'all. Did you Sonny Cassius? You said
My eyes was burning. Why?
no, we thought that maybe Ange or one of your cornermen put some stuff on the towel by mistake.
The man's trainers are dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your face was burning. I whooped him. He couldn't even hurt me. He couldn't even hurt you. All right. The prettiest thing that ever lived. Here's a guy. Shook up the world. Joe Louis. Joe, come on in and ask Cassius. Joe, tell Cassius about the injury that Sonny suffered. Wait a minute. No excuse.
Man, he was chaos.
No excuse. Joe, tell him.
Yeah, he was. And the thing was, Ali was upset because Lewis would never give him credit.
Yeah.
And Ali loved Joe Louis. And Ali figured someone as great as Joe Louis had to know how good I was. Sam Cooke. The great singer Sam Cooke was there. That's that
Well,
new movie, One Night in Miami.
Wasn't Lewis not happy about Ali not supporting the war?
Yes, because Lewis had gone in the Second World War. But Ali said that was different. Ali never said he wouldn't go. What Ali said was, I will serve in the Vietnam War, in the United States military, if you can show me one single black person in my home state of Kentucky that's voted. One. I'm not saying 50. I'm not saying a man and a woman. I'm not saying recently. One. Find one black person from my state that's voted, ever. And they couldn't.
And he's also complained that there was something on Liston's gloves that got into his eyes, and he says it was put there on purpose by the.
Folks, you got to remember this was black and white. If you this was color was put on this, but this is originally is black and white, and it looked. I was going to show the other version, but it was. I wanted to show the other version, but it was just so grainy.
Right. You know, when I asked someone I knew, an older guy, been around for a long time, the doctors at the hospital said that Liston tore a muscle. And the person said to me, this writer, if you're a mob guy and you come in and you put a gun to a doctor's head, he'll pretty well say anything you want him to say.
Yeah. All right.
So after this fight, what happens is two mob guys, Tony Provenzano and Fat Tony Provolone, I think, go to the hallway where Clay is.
Right.
And they see Angelo and they said, well, we're taking over now. And Angelo said, I'm just his trainer. We're taking over. And then Herbert Muhammad, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, walked out with about 15 guys. And they said, you're not taking over. We got 75,000 guys licensed to carry guns. All your mob families together don't have that. You guys got about 2 minutes to vacate the building. Otherwise, we'll take you out. And they could look at these Fruit of Islam guys. No, they weren't joking because they were walking towards the mob guys. We got no fear of you. Your reign is over.
Yeah.
My boss won't be happy. Go tell your boss, stick it up his ass.
Yeah. Like it was, I don't think people understand how things
got 13 grand. Yeah, Liston got 13 grand because the mob took most of his money. However, they still controlled Ernie Terrell, who was a mob guy, fighter, and Ali beat him easily, pitched a shutout against him. That's a fight that angers me to no extent because Terrell was the dirtiest fighter of his era and yet accused Ali and other fighters of being dirty.
Well, we'll go into that next time. Next fight we're going to cover is the number 2 to this one.
Right.
Because we're going to show the that famous pose of Ali. And I had that.
I still do. I have an autographed one.
Well, I had it at the bakery. I would have it in the office. And it was just this
it's a pick-me-up. Everybody should have that photo.
Yeah. It's
everyone who's feeling down in their life or not sure about something should watch what Ali after this fight. Watch him talk.
But
it makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, but you know what? Lou, the more I found out about Liston, the sadder I you
A
know, he
lot
was
of people
a
do,
great
yeah.
fighter, but he was just given such a shit deal.
He was, and he was, and the mob chose him. He didn't choose the mob. Nothing he could do about it, and cost him his life ultimately. And he knew he couldn't be a head breaker forever because sometimes someone would come along that was stronger than him. The second fight's interesting. They were supposed to fight in Boston. Day before the fight, Ali had a severe uh, strangulated hernia. He almost died. So he goes to the hospital. Liston's in the best shape of his life. So the odds are 13-5 in favor of Liston, which means that people don't believe the first fight was on the level. So um, the fight's postponed now for 6 months to let Ali recover. You can't keep your peak physical condition for 6 months. He keeps it for 2 weeks, then he goes back to his diet of hot dogs and whiskey and cigarettes. And the weekend before the rematch in Maine, Jerry Eisenberg, the writer, told me that he said, "I'm there, Lou, and I'm watching Liston train. He can't get a rhythm on the heavy bag, and when he's trying to skip rope, he falls down constantly."
Yeah.
And we thought, this guy's going to fight for the title. He
Yeah.
didn't care anymore. He thought, well, they'll never give me a break, so the hell with it.
We'll cover that next time. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Lou, thanks so much for your time. That was so
My pleasure, buddy. I love you anytime.
love you too. So, folks, if you get a chance, watch that again. And you'll see how great Muhammad Ali was and how he
Still is.
still is.
Yeah,
So,
and bookmark it just to listen to him after the fight, to pick yourself up if you're ever feeling down.
yeah,
It feels good to hear someone go, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest thing that ever lived. I'm pretty. Because
Yeah.
everyone feels that at one time in their life. And then you feel like you can go out and beat the world because someone believes in you.
yeah. And I think that's why he was so beloved. When you were given, again, I'm a Sonny Liston fan, but when you go up against somebody that, it's that force of you're not going to win, kid. You're not going to, there's no chance. There's zero.
Yeah.
Think about that. You got the mob telling you, hey, man, you better watch your back. I mean, it's a scary thing. Okay.
Yeah. And, I don't know if I told you the story about the Freedom Riders, but Liston, when he was champion, the Freedom Riders were all these civil rights groups that would go down to the South to register Black voters. And they'd always be attacked by the local Southern police force with the German Shepherds. So they said to Liston, now that you're the world heavyweight champion, sir, are you going to go down and march with the Freedom Riders to give them some extra strength and pull? And he said, no, sir. And they said, why not? And he said, because I ain't got no dog-proof ass.
Yeah.
And so later on, when I spoke to a person who knew him, he said Liston was from the South. He said that the hatred of blacks and the killing of blacks in the South been going on for 300 years. He said some white boys going down there to register other blacks to vote. That's not going to change anything. He said you have to understand something in there. Up north, if they don't like you, you get beat up. But down here, they lynch black people like handing out lunch. No one gets charged. He said you're better off just moving because you'll never change those bigots.
Yeah. What a crazy time. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to cover the next one. Folks, please subscribe and leave a comment and be good to yourselves. All right. Take care of yourselves. Thank you again, Lou. Love you. Okay.
I love you too, buddy. Speak soon.